Good evening, everyone. We have been experiencing some technical difficulties, but anybody that knows me know this is not going to stop me at all. So, welcome, everyone to Let's Talk Up Close and Personal Live. Yes, we are live and in living color. And tonight, I am privileged to have a very special guest. Our original guest, she's a little under the weather, but there's always a ram in the bush. If you position yourself properly, there is always a ram in the bush that will come through for you for what needs to be done for such a time as this. And this ram in the bush has been a ray of sunshine. She's a happiness coach. She deals with the inside to see what triggers you, what causes your triggers, what causes life to go sideways when it needs to go straight, or vice versa. Her name is Kandy Campbell. And the beautiful part about it, she responded to the call immediately. Everything that we needed to put in place, it was on point. It was coming. And I'm so grateful for her stepping up and accepting the invitation, accepting the challenge, not knowing me not knowing her, but that's what makes everything beautiful. When you can trust the spirit in another person without ever meeting them, just by what you see, not what you've heard, not what you've interacted on. And when that happens, and when you do connect, it's all good. She's been a jewel, even waiting behind the scenes, getting everything up and going. And she's been smiling. It's so funny because she started laughing. She was just laughing while everything was going on. And I thought that was so cool, because a lot of people say, this is going crazy. This is going crazy. But nevertheless, meanwhile, back at the ranch and across the field, we are not going to prolong the time, and we are going to welcome our guest tonight, Coach Kandy Campbell.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? And welcome officially to Let's Talk Up Close and Personal. See, I told y'all, she's just been smiling. So, how are you this evening?
It is wonderful. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. So
thank you for stepping up to the challenge. I'm grateful as well. I love what path I'm on. I love the opportunity to meet new people, to interact with new people, get to learn other cultures, other lifestyles, other beliefs. It is so fascinating, because as much as we want to think we're different, there are so many similarities between people. But you never know if you never have the conversation. So here we are. And one of the things that I spoke to Coach Kandy about was, with us having a conversation and us letting the people know where we are now, there's always a before there's a present. And I like to know from all my guests, are they comfortable with sharing some of their journey? And hands down, yes. So I'm grateful for that as well. But before we get to that, I can read off what you sent in, but as I always say, nobody can tell about you or talk about you better than yourself. So if you would just take a few minutes and share with my guests who you are, what is it that you do, and your why?
My name is Kandy Campbell. I am a transformational and happiness coach. I basically help women that have experienced a traumatic event in their life and these traumatic events keep them stuck or playing small. They tend to be women that are maybe afraid to speak up, afraid to voice an opinion, due to circumstances or individuals in their lives. I help them uncover those hidden emotional triggers, those self-defeating patterns that keep them on that so-called hamster wheel of playing small. It is my passion to help people. And a lot of this is because of my own story. My story began, well, when I was 3. I encountered a traumatic event. I was born into a family as an only child, and I was very fortunate. I thought my life was pretty good. I had opportunities that only many could dream of or speak of, wish for. The downside was, because I was an only child and I was born into a family whose parents did not communicate. Communication was non-existent. Because my mom didn't communicate with my father, and I was around her a lot, I became a little confidant at the age of 3. I shouldered a lot of responsibility. Little did I know that it wasn't my job or my responsibility to shoulder that load. I internalized everything that she told me, and having the personality that I did, I tried to fix it. I became a fixer. But 3-year-olds don't have the wherewithal to fix adult problems, let alone, handle them. So, and this went on to affect my life. Little did I know that it was going to affect every aspect of my life. It affected my relationships. It affected my marriage, my kids, and even my own self-image. And the beliefs I had were impacted. So I went, as I grew older, I became, I was still that fixer. I really was that fixer at that point. And I got married. I had 2 kids, and I was kind of like a walking, talking human volcano. Because as you know, I took everything in that my mom shared with me, and I learned to stuff my emotions. And as anybody who's taken a science class knows, everything that goes down must come up. Well, I had become very proficient at stuffing my emotions because I had problems. I had shouldered the load of problems that I didn't know how to handle, let alone my own personal issues. So I would table them a lot, and I would stuff them. And I became that, good girl that nothing was supposed to bother. But deep down inside, I was a wreck, and I just didn't know it. So fast forward, several decades. In a short period of time, I lost both my parents. I lost a 4-month-old and 2 dogs that were 12 and 13. And these dogs I'd had since they were puppies. And again, instead of truly grieving, I cried, and then I shelved them. I shelved the problem. I put it aside and said, I don't have time to deal with this. I'll deal with it later. Well, again, emotions like that, you have to give them a voice. You have to grieve. You have to let them come to the surface, because once they come to the surface and they sit with you and you go through the process, then you can say goodbye to them and you begin the steps of healing. I wasn't I was still stuffing. I was still running. I was still trying to escape my problems. Well, my turning point came when my mother was dying. Um, as she was dying, I saw her, a frail old lady who had basically had all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas and regrets. And as she was talking to me before she passed away, with all these regrets, I sat there and thought to myself, I don't want to become like her. And I had a significant birthday coming up at that time. And I thought to myself, however many years I am left here on this earth, whether it be 2 years to 300 years or 20 years, I didn't want to reach the end of my life where I was totally full of regret. I had enough of those in my life, between choices and decisions I made, uh, good and bad. I had some regrets. And so I decided to seek out trying to heal. I think as I was going through life, things were coming to me, but I wasn't ready at that point to begin the healing process. I knew some part of me deep down inside knew that what I had experienced as a child was not normal. But, everybody has their stories. Everybody has things happen to them. And I didn't really feel that I was an exception to them. So I just kept on going. But after I found some programs that did help me and I began my own transformational journey, I realized that what I had experienced was so not normal. And it really unearthed some emotions and feelings that I had to come to terms with. I could no longer shelve them and put them on the sideline and go, okay, I'll deal with you later. They were really raw, and they came, they were like, you need to face us. You need to let us sit with you and pour over you and be a part of your healing.
Yes,
And
that,
so,
all of that, all of that, starting at 3 years old and evolving and layers upon layers upon layers and having to become basically an adult before you actually can be a child, and enjoy life, and taking on weights and responsibilities that no child should ever have to bear. That, yeah. One thing I will celebrate you for right off bat is it didn't take you down. It didn't. It could have been a lot worse, and you didn't have to be sitting here now. And that's what a lot of people. That's where a lot of people get stuck, because they've gone through so many things, and they've never allowed themselves to release, or I won't even say forgive themselves, because it wasn't something that they needed to forgive themselves for. But at the same time, it is something that you need to forgive yourself for holding yourself captive for so long. And when you can forgive yourself and set yourself free from the thoughts or the mindset that you've developed over years, it can be so liberating and also so terrifying at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you don't have somebody to come alongside you and take you by your hand and walk you through this journey and walk with you through this journey. And being counselors and being coaches, sometimes the hardest person to counsel or to coach. Yes.
That's why I have a coach. That's why I have other people that coach me.
Absolutely.
And I think through the course of my life, I was subconsciously trying to heal myself. I mean, I got my background is I have a bachelor's in psychology. I have a master's in counseling. And then I was working in pursuit of a doctorate in clinical psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I changed directions, but in looking at that, I was trying to find some way to heal me, to, get to because I remember there was a phase after things started all falling apart. I developed a major health issue, um, you know, and I remember crying out. I was laying in bed and I had a miscarriage and I was laying in bed and I was crying out going, God, please just let me go.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing, it was like as clear as you and I talking, I heard, no, you've got more things to do. And I got mad. I remember going, that's not fair. How dare you keep me in this? I just want to leave. But there was something that wasn't letting me do that,
Mm-hmm.
get to that point. I was hurting and it was basically everything coming out of me. And it was like, there's more to the story. And I just remember pushing back, going, that's not fair, But it wasn't the fairness that wasn't the fact that I really truly wanted to leave. It was I wanted to heal. I wanted to get rid of all the pain that was
Mm-hmm.
plaguing me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. We seek things that we're trying to heal ourselves. And sometimes we have to find other people that can help us.
Yeah.
So I sought out people that could guide me, because I was like, I don't know what to do or how to do this. I mean, I'd seen counselors, but they do it from a different perspective. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be diagnosed with, generalized anxiety or depression
That.
and be put
Yes.
on medication, because it was more than that. It wasn't The anxiety was a result of not dealing with stuff and not learning to let go of stuff, and forgiveness, like you said, forgiveness of myself. Because yeah, in the course of my life, I made lots of mistakes, good and bad. And I had to own that. I had to accept that responsibility, because everything that had occurred in my life, good or bad, I had to acknowledge that I created those. I created them with
Mm.
my thoughts.
Mm. That's good right there.
And if you can get to that point where you recognize that, I mean, yeah, I had to suck up the thought that, oh, the good stuff I created, and that's okay. But the bad stuff I did too, because I started
Yes.
with a thought that went to an emotion that led to an action and came out in my life. And I was like, and that's humbling. It's like, yeah, no. Like I told you earlier when, we were having the technical issues,
Mm-hmm.
we can't control life's events.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes life just happens and it sideswipes you, it spins you around and you go, whoa. But I did learn through my own journey, and this is what I teach, is no matter what life throws at you, the only thing you can control is how you choose to respond to that event.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so funny that you say that, because a lot of people say, well, that's what you say. I hear it said, but how else do you respond to it? How can only you know? But the thing
Look at
about
what you're
it
thinking.
is that, yeah. And even in that moment that you just want to lash out, sometimes you have to, like, become like a robot and say, wait a minute, hold on. Ooh, pause, push pause. What good is this gonna do
Hmm.
with me? Oh, wait a minute. Am I coming to your level if I do this? Did you just take power from me if I react to you this way? Oh, snap. Wow. That's what you've been doing all this time. And And then the accountability comes, and you have to say, well, you've been doing this and you've been doing it. No, you've been allowing it to be done. You've been allowing people to take your power. You've been giving people control over you time and time and time again. But don't beat yourself up about it. Don't beat yourself up about it, because it happens. But when you come to that moment, that aha moment, and you realize that's what you've been doing, sometimes you can't just, how they say, when you have your hand in the lion's mouth, you have to ease it out. Sometimes you have to, take small backward steps to come up out of it. Sometimes you can just be like Forrest Gump and run, Forrest, run. But in the event that you can't, and you do have to take those small steps to come out of it, to become a better you. Don't get upset because it's a part of the process and it's not happening overnight. Don't get upset when people look at you sideways and say you have just about lost your mind. What is wrong with you? And it's the thing about it, it's not that something is wrong with you now. It's the fact that you're becoming the best you that you know how to be and that you can be. And because this is not the norm of what people are accustomed to seeing, and because this is not the norm of what people are accustomed to hearing, then they think something's wrong with you. You're broken. Mm-hmm. No. When I was broken, you didn't recognize it. You thought that was normal. Now that I'm no longer broken, you say I'm dysfunctional. It say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, what do you see when you look in the mirror?
I'm still a work in progress. I still have layers that come, kind of like an onion. You peel off one layer and then you have something else that pops up and you kind of look at that and go, oh. And then you peel that layer and you got another layer. And it's like, I'm a cracked pot, an onion that is still in works in progress. Mm-hmm. Will I ever be perfect? No. But I can guarantee you this. I'm a lot farther along than I was yesterday, 6 months ago, even 2 years ago. I make mistakes. Some days I fall short. I don't hit where I want to be. But instead of, beating myself up and going, oh, you should have done this, you should have known that, I just reframe what I tell myself. Instead of saying, I should have, I go, well, didn't hit the goal today. Tomorrow's a better day.
Tomorrow is a better day. Absolutely. Tomorrow is a better day.
It's all about what we tell ourselves, I mean, I know people look at it and go, well, if you take responsibility for what you're 100% responsibility for your life, you start to begin to see complaining, blaming, and shaming don't work. We have to acknowledge, like I said, good or bad, we began with a thought. And that thought led to something else. And we chose an action based off of that thought. So it's about being aware of what you're thinking. A lot of people are, they don't. They're just, their thoughts, their subconscious just runs amok. Yeah. I mean, for example, I had an argument with my husband the other day, and we kind of resolved it, but then I was still mad. I woke up and I was like irritated with him. I'm like, what are you thinking? I had to have this talk. I was in the I got up to go to the bathroom and I had this talk because I was irritated with him. I was like, what are you thinking? And then it came to me that based off of this argument I had with him, I was telling myself he wasn't going to take care of me and he didn't love me.
Oh, wow.
All off of an action. And, a discussion that we had, subconsciously, I was telling myself that. That was the story I was feeding myself. And I went, oh my gosh, because that's so not true.
Wow.
My husband loves me and he takes care of me. And but subconsciously my brain was it was just running amok, and it was feeding me a story. And
Mm,
that story, if I hadn't caught it and gone, what, I would have stayed
yeah.
mad and just gone downhill.
And you never know what the outcome could have ended up being. So I tell people, it takes so much energy to be bitter. It takes
Mm-hmm.
so much energy to hate and to hold on to anger. And the worst possible thing that could take place is that the two of you walk away from each other, go you just leaving to go to the store to get some milk, anything, and you never make it back. And then you realize it wasn't even worth it. You know, you love the person, but because that person hurt you, but you know that they really didn't intend to hurt you, but because they did, you're going to hold on to it. Now you're going to make them miserable. When the only person that's going to end up being miserable is you.
True.
Because that other person is going to, if they're alive, they're going to go on about their business. And they're going to keep going. And they're going to keep living. And they're going to keep enjoying themselves. Whereas the other person will think that they're enjoying themselves, think that they're living, think that they're progressing. And they're just in a mad cycle. Just in a mad cycle. Just in a mad cycle. And at some point, you have to make a conscious decision that you're going to get off the merry-go-round. Because the merry-go-round is not going to stop. You just have to jump off. You just got to jump off. So tell me this. With your coaching style, what are some of the things that you offer, and how do you go about taking somebody? Okay, let me see. What kind of scenario can I give you? Okay, okay, thank you. A lot of people are dealing with grief now. A lot of people are dealing with grief because families may have broken up, loved ones may have transitioned. Because of the pandemic, the economic status is gone, and they're spiraling. They're spiraling. And someone comes to you, how would you take them through their journey?
Well,
Or
I
you
mean,
stop?
initially we would be talking. I mean, I would have them explain to me, what their grief is. For example, when I lost my 4-month-old, she passed prematurely as a result of someone else's actions. And that grief, if you don't deal with it, if you don't go through the stages of grief, can wreak havoc on your life. So for like that instance, we would sit, and I would say, you have to let that grief come and sit next to you, pour over you. And as hard as that is, as hard as that is to want to do, because we tend to not want to deal with negative emotion. If it's something negative, we don't want. A lot of us are conditioned to believe it's wrong to let negative emotion affect us. We have to be these strong women, men and women. But truth be told, we all get affected the same way by negative emotion. It hurts. It makes us sad. It makes us angry. But I would, I would invite the client to sit, and depending on, the factors involved, they would have, we'd have to go through forgiveness for themselves. We'd have to go through forgiveness of someone else if there is another party involved. But also, having a chair talk, setting up a chair, you sit in one chair, and the person that passed away is no longer here, you sits in the other chair, and you have a dialogue with them. You share whatever it is that you didn't get to say while they were here. You can tell them you're mad, if there's anger, you have that, and you express that. If there's sadness, you have that conversation with them, and you let that emotion come to the surface, and you let it pour over you. And it's a process, but once you get to that stage where it comes and has a voice and it sits with you, then it's easier to let it go. It's not, grief is not an easy process, and everybody grieves differently. I do know that. There's no set way that you're going to grieve. And sometimes some of the stages of grief are quick for some people, and other ones you can linger in. But you have to give yourself that patience and that compassion to be okay where you are. It's about teaching people to be okay wherever they are with whatever they're feeling, and not wanting to necessarily rush through the stages because it's uncomfortable. Sometimes we are in denial for a while. Sometimes we're in anger. Sometimes we're in, once we get to acceptance, then it's easier. But it's all different depending on the person. And I would teach them strategies that would help them, one, calm their nervous system when they're feeling the grief. When that grief is trying to rise, we want to run. Our fight or flight gets activated, and that part of our brain, the amygdala that controls the fight or flight, goes, danger, you don't want to feel that. And so our instinct is to not, so we run. But I will teach them a strategy that will help lower their nervous system, so that when that grief comes, they're not wanting to flee. They can let it come and be with them, pour over them, and let them, go through the stages appropriately. And then I would teach them strategies that would just help them, that they can use at any time, that'll get them through any aspect of their life, from impatience, standing in line, being impatient, when, maybe you're in a checkout line and the cashier's having a problem and you're like, I'm in a hurry, I gotta go, and you're getting mad because it's not moving, or someone can't find their credit card, if they're all around. So I teach them strategies that would help them just keep them calm, because if you're calm, things go a lot easier and a lot smoother than when you're aggravated and irritated.
Yes. And, I was listening to you, and I'm a visual person. So a lot of times, even with my clients, when they're talking, the picture is being painted. And when you were giving the example how you would have an empty chair, and that chair would represent that loved one or whomever that was that is no longer with them. And I'm one of these people that will push back. And I thought about, some people would think that is just absolutely ridiculous. What's the point of me doing that? They're not here. Why would I want to talk to an empty chair? Why would I want to say what good is it going to do for me to say it? They're not here. Why would I want to? Why? And they don't even realize that it's so much built up in them. There's so much frustration and so much bitterness and anger and hurt that's built up in them, that if they would just look at that chair, and see that person, and you begin to open up and you begin to speak what it was you wanted to say. And perhaps what you wanted to say was not nice.
Right.
But you still feel like you needed to say it. You still felt like you were cheated out of the opportunity to share this with that person. They, and you let it out. And as you're letting it out, you're having to inhale and exhale while you're doing it. You're inhaling and exhaling. You're actually breathing while you're doing it. And you might start hyperventilating, and you may start screaming and hollering and crying and snot flowing and all and it may go in with so many different emotions coming. But at the end of it, you might be worn out, but you let it out. And sometimes it might not come all of a sudden. And that's just one, because it's funny, because that's one of the things that I have them do as well. And it's not always just about grief.
No,
it's not. There are people that have sexually abused me that have died. And I have wanted in times past just the opportunity to stand in their face, and because you took my voice from me, just to be able to say what I think about you. And I realized, I caught myself one day. Now this might sound crazy to some of y'all that's watching live as well as on Facebook and YouTube, and some of you that will hear the replay, but hear it. It's not as crazy as it might sound. I was actually praying one day. And was just going into it. All of a sudden, it came up in front of me. The person came up in front of me. And in the midst of my prayer, I began to tell that person everything I wanted to say to them. And when I finished, I turned around and I remember almost falling and just throwing my hands up and said, "Thank you." And I'm like, this man been dead so long. But somewhere, the teenager that had gotten caught walking through the path, and he grabbed a hold of and did everything he thought he was big and bad enough to do. That little girl was able to now get up and walk out that path and not be ashamed as she was then, but she was able to get up and walk out of that path and keep going and walk herself into an open field and be able to breathe, hold her head up, and be good with it. The crazy part about it was I had forgot all about it.
I apologize. Sorry. I didn't mean to trigger something.
Oh, no. That's what you do. I had forgotten all about it. That I had even gone through it and had come over that part of it. It was well after I had written both of my books. I had been coaching. I've been speaking different places for years. And then it happened. It was, I say it's one of the boxes that's way back up in the corner of the attic in our mind that we've hidden that you would never see. and it was tucked down inside of another box, so you wouldn't even know it, and it was tucked down inside of another box, so you had to unpack some boxes that you didn't even remember it was still back there because you just thought it was a bunch of trash. And that's all right. I get rid of it at some point. No, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff in that trash that you think that really needs to be dealt with, but we throw stuff away so quickly and so freely that we might throw things away that you really, just like mail that we throw away. And sometimes we've thrown away checks. We've thrown away we've thrown away people that sent stuff and they had some goodies in it. And, oh, this ain't up a junk, and we throw it away just to find out later, dog, I should have gone through that.
Yeah.
I should have looked through that. Oh man, I shouldn't have been so quick to do that. Exactly. Exactly. But see, I thank you because I had even forgotten about that until you started talking. But see, that's what Kandy does. That's one of her expertise. She causes triggers when you don't even realize you have triggers. Triggers are not always something that causes you to be angry and to lash out. Some triggers are very healthy triggers. So talk about some of the triggers. What just give, maybe I should say, give some examples of what triggers might be.
Let's see. For example, sometimes, like, if it's something inside of me, I'm just going to use my examples, my triggers. Like when I'm having a discussion with my husband, sometimes he'll say something that triggers me, and it brings up anger in me, and I react. And it's meant, basically what a trigger is it means it's something inside of you that needs to be dealt with. Someone is saying something or doing something that is eliciting a reaction inside of you that's trying to come to the surface and saying, hello, I'm here, you need to deal with me. Say someone's, you're driving down a freeway and someone cuts you off and you get triggered, you get mad, you go, oh my God. That is, yeah, the person should not have cut you off, but it elicited a response because you got mad, you got, angry, or you got road rage, God forbid, road rage. But it just basically someone's action creating a response within you that kind of goes, oh, you need to deal with this. My husband's good at triggering me because there's a lot of stuff he'll say and his stuff inside of me that's still coming to the surface. And I'm like, oh, and I instead of getting mad, I'm getting better at, when he triggers me, I'm like, oh crap, you just brought something to the surface. So yeah, I need to deal with that and I need to get rid of it because it's rearing its head. We can get triggered by people saying things to us. We can get triggered by someone doing something, slighting us. And it doesn't mean, most people, their actions, it's not like they go out saying, I'm going to hurt you today, or I'm going to do something that's going to make you feel bad. So there are people out there that do intentionally try to hurt people, but the majority of us, we don't. We go through life and sometimes our actions do things. But if it brings about a response in you, that's usually a pretty good indication that's something you need to deal with, that needs to be confronted. Confronted's a hard word. Needs to be addressed, and you need to bring it to the surface and go, oh, okay, that's something I have in me, So the next time for example, you're driving down the freeway or on the road and someone cuts you off, don't look at it and you get mad. Realize that there's something inside of you that needs that attention. It needs to be addressed. Because most people go through life not even realizing that their actions hurt. You know, the majority of people don't. So, I mean, I get triggered all the time. Sometimes my kids will say something and it will hurt, it hurts like heck. And I'm like, oh, but then I realize it's like, okay, what they're saying is true. And again, this goes back to that accepting 100% responsibility. If you look at it and you accept responsibility for what you've done, good or bad, then it's easier. That's an easier pill to swallow than it is if you don't. I take responsibility. Some of the things I've done, I've gone and gone,
Yeah.
what were you thinking? And then I'm like, but again, you have to forgive yourself for being human. You have to offer forgiveness for yourself.
Yes.
Because if we can't forgive ourselves, we certainly can't forgive others.
Mm-mm.
If we can't love ourselves, we can't love others. It all begins with ourselves. And the more you heal inside and the more you recognize things, the easier it is. I mean, we're always going to be, like I talked about that onion, we're always going to be peeling back a layer that shows something else. But it's about recognizing it and, not going quite as long. I mean, you get triggered. It just means there's something there.
Yes.
But, you got to love yourself and you got to forgive yourself before you can do any of that for anybody.
And you have to learn how to do it quickly. And the more you work at it, the quicker the forgiveness and the healing and the peace and the joy will come back. I've I have put on the screen the various ways to reach out to Kandy, and do get in touch with her. One thing that I like about the pandemic, it's allowed people worldwide to reach out to people now and to be able to get assistance, to get help, to be encouraged, to be motivated, to teach, to mentor, whatever the case may be, in ways that people didn't realize was readily available before. Sometimes it's best not to engage with someone that you're familiar with. Sometimes it's good to step out of your comfort zone and to seek that listening ear or that coach or that counselor that you are not familiar with. And one thing that we both laughed about, because this is from the very beginning, is, and this is something that I'm actually creating a series on, when the counselor is in need of a counselor. Doctors have their own physicians, lawyers have their own lawyers. So why doesn't the coach and the counselor, the pastor, and why don't they feel like they need someone as well?
Some do. I mean, some reach out and hire other coaches or go to other, therapists. But a lot of times it's kind of a false sense of belief that you fix other people, you help other people. Why can't you help yourself? But
yeah.
As doctors say, you can't heal yourself. Doctors can't, you don't heal yourself if you're a doctor. You go to someone else.
You can't do surgery on yourself. So how you going, you might have some idea of how to do some things that need to be done, but then there are other things that you can't do. You can't. You're gonna administer the anesthesia. Take the scalpel and do it. No, you need help. You need someone else to do that. You need somebody else that you can communicate with. You need someone else that you can open up to. Because, especially in the line of what we do, we take on so many other people's conditions and thoughts and worries, and then on top of that we have to deal with our own. And so it's, before it becomes like you're juggling and you're teeter-tottering and trying to balance the ball, you're going to have to find a place of peace, a place of refuge.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to take some time for yourself and not feel guilty about stepping away and doing something for you. You have to, because if you don't, you're going to be the one that's going to spiral out of control the next time. And that's not what you want to have happen. That's not, and I'm sorry, I know people say, why is she moving around so much? Because I'm having to adjust my back. So I'm like moving, because it's better than me getting up and doing so I'm doing it with the chair. And so don't think I'm crazy, and don't like, oh, she is so rude. Okay, so therefore that's why I went ahead and let it be known. I'm having to maneuver. I've been sitting too long. But nevertheless, here we are back here. What challenges have you ran into that have caused you to possibly have to stop, reevaluate, change the direction you're going in, or challenges that you've ran into that as a result of them have catapulted you further ahead than what you thought you would be at this time?
Like personal challenges, or?
Okay, it might be a little bit of both. I know there are some things personally with me that have actually pushed me to do more in both ministry and business, as well as there have been things in ministry that have challenged me personally. So sometimes it's a little bit of both. I mean, it doesn't. I just want you to share some, because I know we've all had some type of challenge. A challenge that you think would help encourage someone else that's watching or listening.
I guess for me, a challenge for me is just, part of it is when you have that realization, it's like, I'm over 50, and if I live to 100, I'm halfway there. And one of my challenges has been, I always was conscientious about my age, and I thought, oh, but when I hit 50, I realized that life went fast. Life does go fast each and every day, each and every month. I mean, if you look now, we're in 2021, already in May, soon to be midway through May. So my biggest challenge, I guess, was, with age and stuff. And but it also kind of propelled me to kind of want to do this before I got to the point where Maybe I wasn't able to. What drives me to do this is a lot of my family, because I have been able to make a difference in their lives. They see a different me from the version they saw for my kids, 20 years ago. Um, Even my husband sees a different me, since I've gone through this transformation. And
Mm,
that's a big force for me to know I want to be able to leave a legacy for my kids and my grandkids, if I should have them later on down the line, that they can say, my Nana did this, and this is what I want to do. They want to aspire to be their very best selves based off of things that I taught them or taught their parents. Um, and I really want to, my passion, it is truly my passion to help women. So many women these days, and you don't even have to have had a traumatic event in your life, but so many women feel, they were taught to behave a certain way, or, you know, I remember hearing when I was growing up, children are to be seen and not heard. Well, that literally took place in my life. I became that person that was seen and not heard. When I did try to speak up, I had certain family members that oftentimes I'd get in trouble. I got in trouble a lot. I bucked the system in my family. And even, my mother said at one point, I don't understand you. You've never been, um, was never that child that she could understand, because I was always trying to do something different and go against the grain of my family. So, and I know deep down inside, there's a calling and there's a pulling that says people need help. You look around and you see, people are angry. People, and not everybody, but you see a lot of it. And people are hurt. And as they always say, hurting people hurt people. And if you ever get hurt by someone or someone does something, look at it through the lens of compassion. Through that lens, you will see it's not they were intentionally setting out to hurt you.
mm-mm.
They are hurting you because they're hurting. And, you know, so that's my drive and that's my
Yeah.
passion, is to make a difference in people's lives, because I see the results in my own life of
Mm-hmm.
in the few years since my transformation, my own personal transformational journey. I see what changed. And I know that if you never give up, there's always hope.
Yeah.
There's always hope. And the thing is a lot of people want to give up, and they get to and this stuck with me. My mentor told me this. There's no such thing as failure. The only failure you will ever experience is by giving up.
Yes.
But, we travel on a journey of life, and sometimes we hit roadblocks.
Mm-hmm.
We hit dead ends that make us pivot, and we go, now what? And we have to go right instead of left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you're always ready and able to adapt to changing and realize that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Come on.
There's always something to see when life throws something at you. You know that expression, life handed you lemons, so make some lemonade, Always look at the whatever's happening as, okay, what am I supposed to see from this? What am I supposed to learn from this? If you look at it from the lens of why is this happening to me? You're taking the lens of victim.
Yes.
If you remain a victim, then everything's going to come at you, and you're never, say never, that's the wrong word. You're always going to respond in with the belief that woe is me, But sometimes I have seen, and I can honestly say that, I have seen some of my greatest growth through my challenges.
Mm.
I didn't necessarily see it at that moment that the challenge was occurring. But when I looked back, I was like, oh, wow, I see, I see what I needed to see. And so when life throws things at me, I'm like, okay, I get mad and I go, and I let the anger, I let the disappointment or the rage come and I express it. When I'm mad, I hit a pillow, and I let it out or I go running, I do something that helps release it. But as long as you can deal with that emotion and you can let it have a voice and come with you, you can release it. But it's about having an open heart and a willingness to see that, a willingness to want to change, because life is a journey and we need to enjoy that journey. We aren't here, it's not the happy end result. Yeah, we want a happy end result, but in order to get to that happy end result, enjoy the journey as you're going, because the more you resist that journey, the longer it takes. The longer you create that pattern of whatever problem was coming up that you're resisting. You just
Mm.
keep that energy in there and it just keeps coming back, And when you can surrender and go, okay, I don't understand why this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's something I need to see from it, but I'll be darned if I know what it is.
Yeah.
You can get to the point where that goes away and you get to the point where it's revealed to you. But when you go, I don't want to deal with this and I'm not going to deal with this and blah blah blah, and you put up that wall of resistance, it just prolongs you from having that freedom.
Yes. Yes. And I couldn't have said it better even if I had tried. You are absolutely right, because it creates a vicious cycle. That's just like if you're driving in the rain and you hit a water pot, you don't put your foot on the brake. As crazy as it might sound, you just have to let the car go. Don't fight it, just let it go. And prayerfully, it will either just slide off the road into a safe embankment, not flip, not take you into another lane with another car or anything, but it will slow down. And sometimes we have to just stop fighting life, let it do what it do, and let it slow down. Because if you stop pushing on the gas, it won't accelerate, but it will slow down. And when we have to let our brain and our bodies come into alignment with each other and slow down, then our emotions, then our mind, our stress level, everything will. And when you can get to a point where you can have a chance to think, have a chance to listen to your thoughts and decipher between toxic thoughts and healthy thoughts, you're on your way out. When you begin to take notice of the merry-go-round that you're on, which are nothing but trigger points that are constantly reoccurring, then you're on your way out. When you realize that life has become too overwhelming, and this one I can't do by myself, I need some help, you're on your way out. But you have to come to that point to realize when you need to stop.
Yep.
Back up, take your hands off, and just stop. And it's okay to stop. It's okay to just stop. I'm going to say it again. It's okay to just stop. If you stop, then the world can stop turning around so fast.
Then you get to begin to see what you need to see here, all that download of the information that you need starts coming to you when you stop, because everything around you stops. And then you have that clarity that opens up and you can begin to see, oh.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Some serious aha moments, absolutely. When you can just stop the merry-go-round and just stop. Well, we have come to the end of our journey. I am so grateful, as I said at the beginning, for the opportunity to share with you and for you to share with my audience. And I don't believe this will be the last time we'll talk.
Well, I hope not.
Yes. No, I don't. We're actually putting together a 2-day forum on women warriors that overcome. I don't know if you saw the flyer.
I saw it when you were, the earlier part. I was like, well,
Yeah.
that looks interesting.
Yeah, women warriors that overcome. And it's not always trauma. It could be anything that you overcame. You didn't survive. You conquered that thing. And now you become a champion. You have badges of honor, which are scars. They're badges of honor. You've overcome. You overcome something and you want to help someone else get through. You want to get in the trenches with someone else and help somebody else strategize and become their strategic coach or their guide or that compass to help somebody else go together, or that group of people to go together. And men, we haven't forgotten about you. Just to say that. We haven't forgotten about you. I have Where Are the Men every year. But as I've said over the last couple of weeks, it has been pressing on me to have something for the ladies. So July 9th and 10th, that Friday and Saturday, we're going to do Women Warriors That Overcome. And you don't have to answer now, but I would like for you to check your schedule, see what it's like. You don't have to come on both nights, but I would like to openly extend an invitation for you to come, because we have so far I got a variety of women coming on, and we're going to share. We're just going to have a conversation. We're going to sit and we're going to have an open dialogue. We may agree to disagree on some things, but we're going to have the opportunity to share, to sit. We're going to do it. We're going to do what needs to be done. And I know that there will be those that will watch live as well as those that will come back on the replay. And it's going to be a blessing to them. They're going to be able to take some nuggets away and put it into their toolbox so that they can use it. Also, it's a platform for people to get to know who you are and what you offer.
I would love to join you.
Thank you.
I would be very happy to join you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll make sure you get added to that. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm serious. Every year, and when we come out of this, my intentions are to take it from location to location, to location.
That would be awesome.
We're going to travel with this. And because we need it. We need it to where we can have some seriously raw conversations. So people won't keep looking and say, oh, they're so successful. Oh, they're doing this and oh, they're doing that. Oh, I'll never be able to do that. Oh, I could never do. You don't know the hell that we've had to go through. You don't know the challenges we've had to go through. You don't know some of the sufferings we've had to go through to get where we are and where we're still progressing and progressively going to, and sometimes stumbling and falling in the process of it. You don't know. But that's the problem. People tell you about the end story, but they never tell you how they got there. And then you have people that say, I want to be like them. Oh, don't say that. Don't
Careful
say
what
that.
you wish for.
Careful what you wish for. Because in order for you to get where some of us are, you're going to have to experience some of the things that we experienced. And you may not be designed to do that. Just like we may not be designed to go through some of the things that you've gone through. So, you might not want to do that. You might not want to ask for that. Because everybody that looks like they've had a perfect life, I'm sorry. Nobody has had a perfect life. No one. And if they insist that they have, they're delusional.
Yep. Or they're smoking something. They're smoking something that's really making their thoughts go loopy.
It must be some good something they smoking. I'm just saying. Okay, yes. So I thank you. I thank you, Kandy, for accepting that quick. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm grateful. I truly am, Dr. Thompson. You will never know the extent of my gratefulness. So.
Oh, wow. I love what I do. I really do. I love, because of my life that I have had to live, this is like breathing to me. Sharing with other people, allowing other people the opportunity to share, giving opportunities to people to have a platform and not be intimidated because of who you are, what accolades you may have, you've acquired, and and the places and the platforms, the stages that you may have graced. It's not intimidating to me. And I'm thankful that that's the heart that I have, because it was not always extended to me. In most cases, it was never extended. So I'm not bitter about that. It made me better. Because I knew you were able to help me, but you refused to. I'm good, because guess what? You can't take the credit for it. But I'm not trying to take credit. I just want to see if I can make it a little bit easier for the next person so that they don't have to go through the challenges. Yeah, you're going to have your own set of challenges, but so that you don't have to go through some challenges are unnecessary. Some challenges are unnecessary. We create havoc for ourselves and for others because misery loves company. Well, I'm not miserable. I'm not miserable, and I'm not trying to make anybody else miserable. I want some peace, and I want as many people. And if the person that I'm interacting with likes misery, I don't need to be around you.
Correct. You don't want to.
And it's okay. So this is who we are. So if anybody's interested in being a guest, if you have a story to tell, if you have a call to action that you want to get it out, you want people to become aware of, let us know. Let us know. Get in touch with me. Get in touch with be it by Facebook, by Instagram. YouTube, however, the website, get in touch with us. If you are those that are looking for a cause, trust me, I already have one. It's called OpFaith, Operation Faith Transition and Transportation and Redevelopment Program. Yesterday, we were able to go and celebrate with some single women that are actually displaced. And we met with them at one of the ministries that helps them. And we had the best time. We provided food, and we just sat there. We did a Bible study, and we talked, and then we ate. And we had so much fun with those young ladies. They don't look like what they're going through. They don't look like they're catching, and going through challenges right now. And all three of them were pregnant. But they don't look like, why? Because they've had somebody to raise their arms up. So we help with sex trafficking, getting people into safe places. We help with those single mothers and the single dads too. We help with aging out of foster care teens. We help with ex-offenders, veterans, male, female, young, old, blind, crippled, and crazy. And I'm not saying that being facetious, but it's the truth. Because a lot of us were once one of them. So if you're looking for a cause, there are the various areas and various means to donate. We are a 501c tax deductible charity. So if you have if you just want to help, although we're based out of Jacksonville, we're not limited to Jacksonville. We want to branch out and connect and partner and actually establish other locations. Because what's happening in Jacksonville may not be happening in Memphis. What's happening in Memphis may not be happening in Houston or Iowa, wherever you might be. Even in Hawaii, Puerto Rico, it might not, the Bahamas, it's not happening what's happening here. We want to be able to bridge the gap and to help and to connect the dots. And even Kandy, in your area, you may know of something that's going on in your area. We just want to make life better the best way we can, one step at a time, $1 at a time, one mission at a time, one mission in multiple locations. That's what it's all about. So with all of that being said, I'm done. I thank you for joining me again. I thank you for being my guest. I thank you for answering and stepping up to the 911 call that I put out. Thank you so much. And to everyone that's watching, everyone that's listening, everyone that's going to watch the replay, this is Mother's Day coming up on Sunday. This will be the first Mother's Day that I will be without my mom. Some of you have already been through this, and it still has that tug. Some of you have just lost your moms. Some of you, your moms are alive, but you're at odds with each other. I beg you, if your mom is still alive, reach out to her. And mothers, reach out to your children, because life is short. Time doesn't belong to us. Make amends, make peace. And even if peace is not acquired, send a text, send a message, do a phone call, put a card in the mail, do something. Because there's going to be a time that's going to come that you're going to wish you could have. And it's going to be too late. So don't think you have time. Oh, I can do it next year. And next year may not come for you, or it may not come for that other person. So step out of your feelings and your emotions and spread some love. So, Kandy, I always allow my guests to give the last word. So, with that, before she jumps in, this is Dr. Nathalie Chase Thompson. You've experienced a live of Let's Talk Up Close and Personal. And until next Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always, I want you to be safe and be well. Kandy, give our last thoughts, and we're going to be out of here.
I would say never give up hope. Hope, if you give up hope, then you have nothing. But hope, hope is what we all have. Cling to it. And as, Dr. Thompson said, life is short. Don't live your life with a bunch of regrets, because once it's done, once the past is past, you can't go back and reclaim it. So live in the here and now and make decisions that you can live with and you're okay with. Thank you.